Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Matthew Scultz. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage and also like or comment.
As the 2021 HONOS Superbike season starts the home stretch, a champion's #1 plate begins to come into view for Jake Gagne. With a record 11 consecutive wins, you have to wonder, can anyone catch the California Kid? But Matthew Scultz, Cam Peterson, Bobby Fong, Loris Baz, and the rest have come to Pitt Race with something to say about that. MotoAmerica on FS1 right now. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our 7th round of 9 for 2021 from Pittsburgh International Race Complex in Wampum, Pennsylvania. It's MotoAmerica Superbikes at Pittsburgh. Welcome everyone, and welcome to the broadcast booth for HONOS Superbike. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. Now Jason, it's true, we have a rider, his name's Jake Gagne, and in the last 11 races, he's won them all.
Yeah. Dominant.
But one rider we want to talk about today is the number 11 of Matthew Scultz on the Westby Racing Yamaha, having the best season of his young Superbike career.
Yeah, probably doesn't feel like that when you see Gagne running away and stuff, but Matthew's had a great weekend so far here at Pittsburgh. We've seen him fast here before. Been quick since they got off the truck. Second in points, and he's second on the grid today.
Yeah, and he's working on his riding, and there's so much story around him. Let's take a look at this points progression, Jay, because obviously Jake Gagne, in the last round we had, scored 50 points. But Scultz coming off a couple podiums, 36 points in this one, and he's in a battle for second place with Cam Peterson. And at the moment, he's got a comfortable lead. Take a look at Matthew Scultz, Jason, and the way he's riding this season, because we've seen improvements in his riding style.
Yeah, always. He's working on some things as a rider himself, and the team's helping him along with some of that, with some of the changes they make. This is at the last race at Brainerd, where he was able to get a couple of good solid podium results there. And overall, he's riding that momentum all the way into Pittsburgh, a track that we know that he likes. They've tested here before in the past, so it's a good place for Matthew, and I expect good things from him this weekend.
All right, let's head right down to Hannah Lopa, who's with Matthew Scultz on the grid. Hi, Hannah.
Greg, Jason, and talking stats for Matthew Scultz, 8 podiums so far for him this season, and the only other winner on this grid aside from Jake Gagne this season. A really strong start to this season for Matthew Scultz. A bit of a mid-season woes for the team, but they've been working really hard, and things are finally starting to turn around. We've seen 3 podiums in a row the last couple rounds for Matt. What are your expectations with that in mind for this round and for the remainder of the season?
Well, I mean, I kind of feel that over the last couple rounds we've been getting better, catching up to Jake, and, you know, qualifying second. I know Baz has some serious pace too, but we kind of have the target right here next to me, so hopefully have a pretty decent start and take it from there. You know, we know Jake always the first 5 or 6 laps put some serious heaters down, but I think if we're able to follow him from there, we might be able to tag on and have a strong finish and maybe challenge him.
Well, thanks, Matt. And you know, Jamie, it seems like Matt's not really feeling the pressure. Who are you with back there on the grid?
Well, Hannah, it's been since June at MotoAmerica that we've had Kyle Wyman gridded up for a Superbike race. He did make an attempt at Brainerd, but after the test session realized that after a broken elbow, he was not quite in physical form. You've been through practice, you've been through qualifying here this weekend, made the decision to race. How are you physically feeling?
Well, a lot better than Brainerd, that's for sure. And yeah, it's been a little bit of a longer road than I wanted it to be, but you know, yesterday felt pretty good. You know, I'm a little bit sore today as kind of to be expected, but it's so great to be back on my Panera-bred Ducati, because I've been watching races from the couch at the Ridge. I've been watching Tony ride my bike at Laguna, and then I thought I was good to go at Brainerd, but it just wasn't to be. So it feels good to be able to kind of put together a full weekend here, and I'm excited to see what we can do from the 3rd row.
It's Kyle Wyman, Greg.
All right, good to have Kyle back on the grid after, by the way, winning the Mission Foods Baggers Championship. Jay, Pitt Race is fun.
A lot of ups and downs here. Turn 1 is blind. Then they're going to go up over that wheelie hill. That's where all our fans are, up on that hill over there. I saw you earlier up to turn 3 for the hard braking spot. And then we're going to see a lot of this roller coaster, Greg, and that's exactly what it is. A lot of ups and downs. 7, 8, 9, 10, all back-to-back turns where these guys have all been fighting for that grip that we've heard them talking about. 14, blind corner, one of the hardest ones I think on our calendar. Into that chicane, last corner, there could be some last lap dramas there on that run down to the start-finish line.
All right, and Jason, we're curious to find out where the hot spots are in this one. So we have Cardo hot spots tell us a little bit about where some passing is going to happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first place that we wanted to talk about was this is going to be turn 1 as these guys come up over the top of the hill, and then they run down through turn 3 all the way down into turn 5. Then they got this series of S-turns, 7 through 10. It's the place I was talking about where grip so far this weekend has been at a little bit of a premium for these guys. They've been looking for it. They've been trying to find it. So this is all that section of racetrack that we're talking about. Then turn 14 up over the top of the hill. This blind corner leads you down into the chicane and to the last turn.
All right, we are 5 minutes away from a race start, so you don't want to go anywhere. Can Cam Peterson get himself another podium? We're here to find out.
Well, we see Cam Peterson in that picture. I'm Robbie Floyd along with Roger, and we saw Cam Peterson with that picture. Will we see him smiling towards the end of the day? I know he's been searching for a little grip and a little more feels in that bike. There he is. There's Cam Peterson. His teammate Bobby Fong's been looking good here and there. He's going to be starting 6th. Peterson starting 5th. But also the thing we haven't talked too much about, Tony Elias, the 24 on the fresh and lean Yamaha. I mentioned how the Hill people were probably tipping one back, pouring out for their homie Josh Herron. Josh Herron sitting at home watching this go down, and he's seeing his ride with a guy who has a lot of talent on top of it.
He's got a lot of talent. Not only that, he's been going really fast this weekend as soon as his very first laps on the Yamaha. So obviously he's gelled with that bike really well. I think it's super impressive to come in here and qualify 4th after, this first time ever riding a Yamaha. And he's looked good. He's been consistent. And I think just every time he hits the track, he should be getting quicker just as he gets more comfortable. They can make the setup a little more like he likes it. And we've always seen him. Sometimes he doesn't always qualify as well, but he's one of those guys when the lights go out, he can always be there.
It kind of looks like the Black Knight right there, too. I mean, on a hot day, that thing might be a little toasty. We've also got some Superbike Cup competitors in this as well. Jake Lewis, I looked at him on the line. He's going to actually start in 10th. That's the best that he can start because you have all the HONOS Superbikes taking up those first 3 rows. He's had a little something on the rest of the field in the Superbike Cup. I think he could be a guy that maybe could throw it in there. A 7th would be like a win for him today.
I believe so. I mean, if he get to run with a guy like Hector Barbera, would be a great run from him, but he's going to have to find, a little bit more speed. But we've seen it at Brainerd, though. He was in the shot for a long time toward the end of that Superbike race to the guys in front of him. So he can do it. He's riding really well. He's had the pace this weekend quite a bit better than the other guys, but he has to be smart. His goal is to win the Superbike Cup. He can't come here and try to be a hero and run with the Superbike guys and toss it down the road.
On the Altus Motorsports Suzuki, you see the 85 there, and I forgot. I didn't talk to him and Jake Lewis when they were over getting their helmets worked on. He was fast here a couple years ago in the M4 Suzuki. Remember that? I was like, that's right. That was here, and he was putting it up there in the front. Loris Baz, another guy to look for, that Warhorse HSBK Ducati New York entry. He's been consistently around that top 3. He's just got to find that grip and that little something that he's been missing, not only to get by Matt Scultz to have a chance at Jake Gagne.
And I think Matthew Scultz said it right on the grid. The first 5 or 6 laps is where Gagne usually decides his race. He usually pretty much just does really good laps, first 5 or 6 laps, builds that gap, and then he can maintain it from there. So these guys are going to have to get really good start, latch onto him, go with him, and not let him get away and, potentially – be really aggressive the first lap. Don't let him lead the first lap. He's led almost every first lap of the race that he's won.
Look at the uphills, the downhills, the twists, and the turns. And qualifying, maybe hiding the story a little bit there. 139.9 by Gagne, a 140.4. So that half a second, that is with a qualifying tire. When I was looking at his team, I'm like, that second sector, that's where he made up a ton of time, 3 to 4 tenths of a second. And his teammate looked at me and said, yeah, but that was with a different tire.
Yeah, it was with a different tire, but also he's kind of had the pace all week, and that second sector is one we've talked about before where we feel like the Yamaha really works well through there, but Jake's going to be fast on any tire he's on.
No doubt about it. Will we see a repeat victory by Jake Gagne? He's been unstoppable in 2021.
Today's Superbike coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Medallia, the pioneer and market leader in customer and employee experience.
Nice. Our tape producer Trey Beckwith and his wife Armika taking in the sights of Pittsburgh. Jay, starting grid. Jake Gagne, 139.9.
And there you go. Matthew Scultz, second. Baz, third. Tony Elias on the second R1 from attack there, starting from row number 2. Cameron Peterson and Bobby Fong. Then we have Hector Barbera, Kyle Wyman, Bradley Ward. Good to see Bradley. Good solid result there from him from qualifying. Jake Lewis, David Anthony, and Travis Wyman getting to a few of our Superbike Cup contenders here. Corey Alexander, Michael Gilbert, Andrew Lee. Then we have Wyatt Ferris. Good to see Ashton Yates here. We were worried that we weren't going to see him here. And Max Flinders outside of row number 6. Row number 7, Hayden Gillum. Jason Waters and Danilo Lewis. Hunter Dunham, Gerardo, and Perk back there on row number 8. A little bit further back, Giannato, Coffey, and Ressinger. So we got 9 rows, Greg, of this HONOS Superbike grid. And again, you heard Matthew make comment. They've got to do something with number 32 right off the bat because he just gets out to these starts and rolls.
So here we go. HONOS Superbike race number 1 from Pitt Race. Revs are up. Lights off. Tony Elias looked like he had a good launch on the freshly attack performance Yamaha. He's left part of your screen, number 24. And it's going to be Gagne who leads the way, but Elias coming up in the second spot ahead of Matthew Scultz. So a good job by Tony Elias in his second appearance in HONOS Superbike this season.
Yeah, and he's obviously taken the place of Josh Herron, who still isn't well, so we wish him the absolute best. But right now, looking, you can see Baz makes a quick stab up underneath Scultz as they go down through turn 4. It's going to get close as they come down the hill. Scultz is trying to get that space back, and Baz moves him out of the way. He's going to lose a spot to Cam Peterson, who goes up underneath as well. So some aggression from the French rider early, and it allows Cam Peterson that spot to third. But look at Tony Elias. He has been fast at the start of these races in the past, Greg, and he has felt comfortable so far on this R1.
How about Cam Peterson, M4X Star Suzuki? His teammate Bobby Fong pulled in and wasn't able to start the race. So Cam Peterson puts himself into third spot.
Baz is going to have to try to get himself through early. You can see he's getting bucked up out of the seat also, and he's got Scultz, who's probably going to have a little bit of redness going on there, is wanting to try to get back past that Ducati, as we know he wanted to get off the front with those other 2 as well. Everybody knows that Gagne's the guy to mark on that first couple of laps, and pretty impressive so far with Tony Elias, who's able to stay there. As you're going to see the 2 leaders up front there, Baz is going to have a look at Cam Peterson, who made a mistake in the chicane, and I believe he was able to make that pass.
So looking at Jake Gagne, boy, this is the closest we've seen anybody on lap 1 in a long time. So Tony Elias doing a great job as a guest rider, threw a leg over this motorcycle for the first time, did the 24
Gagne's
on Friday. Yeah, Gagne with a mistake.
Makes a little bit of a mistake. He's going to be surprised if he comes around and only sees +1 on that board. He's going to think, I wonder who that is, but it's his teammate for the weekend, Tony Elias. Now, Greg, well, Tony's in there a little bit deep there, so he's just giving that a little bit of advantage back. Now, the R1, we know, is known for its corner speed. We know that it's known to kind of roll through corners and things like that. Predominantly, we've seen Tony Elias set bikes up in a way that allows the bike to be more of a point-and-shoot motorcycle. I think Tony's done a really nice job, even from first session yesterday, in adapting his riding style a little bit differently on this motorcycle.
Yeah, there's been very subtle changes. Talking to Richard Stamboli, that they've done to Tony Elias's motorcycle to make it comfortable for Tony. So it's kind of Tony coming towards the R1 and the R1 going towards Tony's riding style at the same time.
Yeah, and right now he's not giving up anything to Gagne through all those S's. If you watch this, I mean, this is going to be super encouraging for Tony if you think he's seen this guy just disappear from the field all year long, and he still has Gagne in his gun sights just up ahead of him. Baz, now you can see behind, has got himself into third, and he's going to try to stretch it on those 2 guys behind him while closing the distance on the 2 leaders at the front.
Through the chicane goes Jake Gagne. The only race he hasn't won this season was a race where he DNF'd, did not finish in race number 1. But Tony Elias, what a job he's doing right now. This has got to put a smile on Richard Stamboli's face as a crew chief and a team owner to see his riders going 1-2, a 40.7 fastest lap of the race. So that lap, Gagne gets 0.3 of a second over Elias. But we've seen Gagne faster than the field sometimes, Jay, 1 second And Matthew Scultz talked about it. This is what Gagne's been doing, putting in these heaters in the first like 5 laps of the race and really pulling out a gap.
Jake's in a little deep. Jake's in a little bit deep there too. I mean, we've seen actually 2 little mistakes from Gagne that we don't normally see. And again, seeing 0.7 on your board as opposed to +1 or +2 like he's normally used to seeing. That time through turn 1, oh, Baz is down. That's going to be probably up in the turn 3 area. He was pushing hard to try to get up to the front of those other 2 guys, and he's tipped off, Greg, it looks like in turn 3.
So Loris Baz, who'd worked himself into 3rd, and I guarantee you was pushing hard, trying to close the gap to get up to Tony Elias, unfortunately is down in this one. That's going to relegate Cameron Peterson to 3rd spot on the M4 XStar Suzuki.
Tony's essentially he's doing the same splits. Like the first split that they've went through, he lost 1/10 of a second, which is really nothing. We're going to get to see them come through this second split here in a minute. The thing is that Gagne, Greg, if you watch him over the course of a weekend, as he goes 34-1 to Tony's 34-6, so he gained a half a second in that second split, did Gagne. He goes out there and puts in these laps. A lot of the other guys, Greg, can do 1, 2, 3 laps fast. This guy consistently just throws them down, and he was the first rider to ever get under the 40-minute mark here with his 39 this morning that he ran in qualifying. So, but he's capable of running these minute 40 lap times over and over as he goes 41-2. But I suspect we'll see him either get back into the high 40s again, or just run this low 41s throughout the entire race.
All right, we mentioned that Bobby Fong had an issue at the beginning of the race. Hannah, what do you know about Bobby Fong?
Well, Greg, if you look, he's pretty far down the order, which is unexpected, running about 26th right now. He pulled in just after the warm-up lap. I guess his brake adjuster was loose and rotating around, so they tightened it up. They expect it to be just fine for the race, but it's a big bummer for Bobby. I know that they were making progress getting him to feel more comfortable on the bike. He's going to have a lot of work to do this race from 26, but hopefully he'll be able to learn enough to prepare him even better for tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's the great point that you make, Hannah. The fact is he's getting ready to run these laps, and he gets to run these laps, so anything he wants to try to make as far as changes, he's going to get those laps under his belt, Greg. And the other thing, too, is you never know. He's still on the lead lap, and if we were to have a red flag or something like that, that's why you can't ever give up. You got to just keep grinding it out, and that's what this guy does better than any of them.
So Bobby Fong just going to throw the laps down and grind this one out and see what kind of lap times he can come up with and really analyze what the bike is doing. Jake Gagne is leading now by 2.8 seconds. Last time by, Tony Elias must have done something, Jay, because Tony lost 2 seconds on the last lap.
You're right.
To Jake Gagne.
Yeah, that's a big difference there. A 41.2 to a 43.3, so that couple second gap, and that's going to be Tony just pushing. Now you got to remember, this guy's got a ton of years of experience. MotoGP, obviously World Superbike, and obviously also MotoAmerica champion. He has been sitting out, and I think his race fitness might be a little bit better than it was at Laguna. He talked to me a little bit about, he's like, Jay, just being on the bike and getting that race fitness. He looked a little bit better here, and I think these laps will be a little bit more sustainable, a little bit easier for him to sustain. He's still going to come under pressure from Cam Peterson and Matthew Scultz back there, but I think Tony's going to be a little bit more comfortable here than he was at Laguna Seca.
Well, he is looking good right now, isn't he, Jamie?
He is, and he was struggling with a little bit of arm pump this morning following qualifying, so his race fitness isn't quite up to where he wants it to be just yet, but he got this call Tuesday night to come out here and race this Yamaha, and he has a friend who has an R1 road bike at home, and he called that friend Wednesday morning, borrowed the bike, took it out to a go-kart track, and spent about 2 hours just getting comfortable with how the bike moves and what he's going to need to do. He was told that he was coming in as a fill-in rider. They're not going to make a whole bunch of changes as we've seen Tony Elias do over the years. They want him just to come out and ride, go for it. If the podium's in sights, go ahead and take it, make all of the risks that you need to do, but you're going to have to ride our bike, and that was the mentality that Tony brought in.
And, Jamie, the key there is, what's funny about that is an R1 on a go-kart track. That's how committed he was to getting on an R1 before he actually stepped on one here. And he comes in, Greg, knowing that this team is on the bike to win on. He's not just coming here to just be part of the show this weekend. You can see he's even opened up that gap a little bit on this lap, or this last lap, to those guys behind him. As we look at the splits on our screen, 41.9 to 42.2 for Cam, 34.7 to 34.9. So almost a half a second he has opened up that gap to Cam Peterson on this lap alone.
This battle for 3rd place has championship written all over it, as Cam Peterson talked about it to me earlier this weekend about what a bucking bronco his M4 XStar Suzuki has been. It's been a challenge to ride, but also fun for Cam Peterson. But in terms of the championship, Matthew Scultz is 35 points ahead of Cam Peterson for that second spot. And also Scultz looking to continue his 3-podium streak, trying to hunt down his fellow countryman from South Africa, Cam Peterson. So Gagne leads by 3.5 seconds over Tony Elias, and then this battle is 5 seconds behind Gagne, who's settled into a pace in the 141 kind of mids. These riders doing 42 mids, so just about 1 second a lap. They're losing. So you have M4X Star Suzuki's Peterson, Scultz on the Westby Racing. Hector Barber, Jason, is in 5th ahead of Kyle Wyman. Jake Lewis in 7th. Bradley Ward, Corey Alexander, and Travis Wyman.
Yeah, you can see Matthews close that gap down now to Cam Peterson as Tony continues to just streak away ever so slightly. Scultz is going to try to make a good clean pass here on his fellow countrymen somewhere in probably the next couple laps. He realizes that second isn't out of the question here for the Westby Racing R1, but he's going to try to get through as early as he can. Now, I thought we were going to pan back there for a little bit further. Hector Barbara doing a really nice job in 5th on the Shy Racing BMW. These guys roll down now into that chicane.
And the talk of the weekend here at Pitt Race has been the amount of rain that's come through in the last couple of weeks, washing this racetrack clean, which of course reduces the grip. Having rubber on the racetrack provides a lot of good traction. And so in talking with Matthew Scultz about setting up this motorcycle, he made some key points about how there are certain sections of this racetrack where you're on the edge of the tire constantly, you know, going through the S's and then having to pick the bike up. And Jay, he said, you know, one of the things with Pitt Race that's interesting is for some of the corners, for the speed you carry, you don't have a lot of options if the side of the tire goes off to be able to go through a corner a little slower and pick it up because they flow to each other. So you've got to really learn to manage the grip reduction later on in the race.
There's no question about that because there's so much switching back here. The whole sector 2 basically is going to be from the top of the hill where you're going to see Cam Peterson and Matthew Scultz right now. Sector 2 starts right in this area. And if you watch, it is all exactly what you're saying, Greg. It's a lot of rights, backs to lefts. And in this area here, this is all downhill. Now, this is the spot where the guys have been having trouble. The bike gets in there, it gets loaded properly, then they go to squeeze the throttle on, and the rear tire kind of protests a little bit. Matthew Scultz makes a great pass there. And that's what you can do in these S's. If you have that little bit extra grip, you can get on the gas. That bike's going to just squat just ever a little bit more, put that pressure on that tire, and give you that a little bit extra grip. Now, if you don't have a spring rate, the reason why these guys were going softer throughout the weekend is they were trying to get a little bit more weight to try to push that tire into the ground, talking to these teams. So Matthew obviously feels comfortable through the S's, and you can see that roll speed he had, and that little bit of square to the throttle in between those corners allowed him to make a move on Cam Peterson.
What a lunge by Matthew Scultz to work his way into 3rd spot. And how about this guy, Hector Barbara, the Spaniard over here in the Shy Racing BMW in 5th. And Jason, he's just been getting better and better as the season rolls on.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think that a lot of us want to see this guy continue to get up closer to those guys. You can see that bike moving around a lot at the top of the hill. He still has that 3rd and 4th place battle just up ahead of him. He can see those guys.
And for Hector Barbara, each and every session this weekend, he's been able to make small improvements. It's another new track for him in his first year here at MotoAmerica, so he has to spend that first session really learning the track, figuring out which way to go. One of the things he struggled with this weekend was stability under power. The bike was just moving around too much over the bumps, and so they've changed the forks, they changed the springs, they tried to snip it up just a little bit. But talking to Steve Scheibe, he said, you know, we have to be careful about the changes that we make because it's more important for Hector to just be comfortable, know which way the track goes, know where he's okay to push, and that's really what they've been working through.
Yeah, and also, Jason, you can start to mess with the balance of the motorcycle. This racetrack is so technical in how you set a bike up. You can go too stiff in the front, too soft in the rear, and then all of a sudden the balance of the bike is out, and you can have problems going over crest of hills and all kinds of stuff.
And that is what a lot of these teams have been experiencing. They say, you know, if we get the bike to have a little bit more grip, then it wants to run right on the exit because the weight transfer when we start to get on the throttle is making the bike where we take a lot of the weight off the front forks, and it's making the bike push wide. So these are exactly the things that you have to face when you come to a place like this. And keep in mind, this guy's seeing all these tracks for the first time.
Yeah, and looking at Hector Barbara, Jason, and the riding style, it seems very simplistic, and he seems like he's, you know, the bike's not moving around a lot. What do you make of his riding style?
Very simple. And again, another guy with a ton of experience. It's been really interesting to see guys like Baz and Barbara come over here. And obviously, everybody knows that Tony Elias raced with those other two guys in Europe for so many years. So now these guys are all kind of rekindling their friendships again, seeing each other. As Kyle Wyman here on the Panera-bred Ducati, circulating right now in 6th place. They made a pivot change on this bike, Greg, to essentially soften the rear of the bike as well. They didn't want to go a spring rate, so they tried something a little bit different with the Ducati, and it made a big difference this morning for Kyle on this motorcycle. Hannah?
Well, Jason, for Kyle, you said he's been fighting kind of rear grip and chatter like the majority of the other riders out on the grid. But as far as his elbow goes, this is his first race back. He's sore a little bit more today than yesterday, but significantly improved, like he said at the start of the race over Brainerd. He's been resting as possible, really just trying to build up that tricep strength. He said the bike feels really good in those sectors. He's still looking for better roll speed and compliance from that front end. Fortunately, the team was able to test here a couple of months ago to establish a good base setup, and he's got a good amount of laps at this track, so I think he's just he's happy to be back and trying to have some fun once again.
Well, I think too, Hannah, when you come back from an injury like he did, I know Kyle wanted to be on the bike at Brainerd a couple of weeks ago. He got out there and just realized it wasn't going to happen. So now he's having to go out and put these race distance laps in. He did some of that during practice sessions, but until you really get into this position, you don't really know how things are going to react. But talking to him before the race, he's definitely said my arm's a lot better than it was. They've made some setup changes on the motorcycle to raise the bars up a little bit. He's got a thing on the tank that's actually helped him be able to use his legs a little bit more to take some of that weight off of his elbows.
Kyle Wyman doing a great job. Back in 6th place is the 33 on that Panera-bred Ducati. Good to see the year that Kyle Wyman is having. A better second half of the season. But what about this guy, the 85 of Jake Lewis, who's the first of our riders in our Superbike Cup, the Stock 1000 spec machines. The number 85 on that Altus Motorsports Suzuki GSX-R 1000. Jason has really worked himself into some fine fitness and speed as the season wears on.
Well, besides that, let's just look at it this way. Jake Lewis a couple years ago really wasn't mentioning in our series anymore. He'd gone off and he got a job, and he started going and doing some racing, some motocross and things. And now he's back, and he's not only back, Greg, but he's dominating the Superbike Cup. He's also our Stock 1000 points leader at the moment. And you see Kyle Wyman is just up the road. But right now, when you look at the Superbike Cup riders, nobody's even close to this guy. He has ran a 43 flat, which is going to be the fastest lap of the weekend for the Alta Suzuki rider. And the next guys that are really closest to him on the same kind of bikes, best lap times, 44.6, 45.3 I'm seeing back there a little bit further. So he's got these guys covered by over a second. And here is some of that battle for the rest of the Superbike Cup guys. You're going to see Michael Gilbert here, Wyatt Ferris, Corey Alexander, and yes, Hayden Gillum, another guy that we haven't got to see much at all this year. As he goes up underneath Corey Alexander, makes a bid for that pass. They go into the S's. Hayden yesterday didn't even get to ride at all, and here he is, Greg, doing a tremendous job on another Suzuki, and he's got himself up there with these guys, and he spotted all these guys a day.
He certainly did. So Jake Lewis leads the Superbike Cup over Travis Wyman by 11 points, but Lewis in the Superbike Cup standings is on a 2-race win streak currently, having 5 so far this season. But Corey Alexander, who's back there on the 23, he's in 3rd in the championship. Michael Gilbert is 4th on the 55, leading this way. And Wyatt Ferris, who's 6th in this championship, on the M4 Star Suzuki, has had quite a surge in the last couple of events.
Yeah, he has. But, I think right now when you look at this group, the guy knifing through them all, Hayden Gillum, how great is it to see Hayden Gillum back on a motorcycle? And we've seen him this year in our baggers class. He did some of those races on a Harley and gets the call here to come to Pittsburgh and race this motorcycle. And so far, Greg, he's doing a tremendous job.
He is, and he led a session in Stock 1000 in qualifying early this morning, just jumping on the motorcycle. It was quite an eye-opener. This battle that we're looking at is for 9th place, with Bradley Ward up the road a piece. Gilbert, Hayden Gillum, Wyatt Ferris, and Corey Alexander, with Travis Wyman just off the back. And Hayden Gillum on the 77, looking for a way around Gilbert. So Kawasaki versus Suzuki and a BMW, as Wyman has been struggling a little bit as of late, Jason. Just, of course, Travis, not Kyle.
Yep, and Travis right now is kind of making up some ground. He was up at the front of this, so something has happened along the way in the last sort of 5 or 6 laps. We saw the BMW rider drop back a little bit. I did see him trying to go up underneath Michael Gilbert somewhere here about 5 or 6 laps ago, it looked like. Then the next time I looked, and he was a little bit further back. So he's kind of clawing his way back into this fight. As you can see, Michael Gilbert now, he's going to have to try to hold off Hayden Gillum. Now, Gillum was really fast, as you're going to see him come up over the top of this hill, turn 14. Gillum was really quick through this next kink. He got by Wyatt Ferris last lap, right through here. And look how fast he is. I don't think he's quite close enough. Is he? Yes, he is.
Wow. What a move up the inside, and Gilbert can't make the corner, so he's got to go wide. So Gilbert will lose some time, and Gillum keeps marching his way deep in the top 10. Hayden Gillum back in action. Good to see him here in our Superbike Cup category and Stock 1000.
And he's going to be a player tomorrow, like in the Stock 1000 race. I mean, let's just be honest. And you see Wyatt Ferris now, another guy that's made some big improvements over the last couple of weekends. He's got Robbie Peterson down there helping him, crew chief. And you've definitely seen a different side of Wyatt. This is kind of where we had expected him from the beginning of the year. Another guy on one of those M4 X-Star Suzuki motorcycles is Bobby Fong, is now caught up to the back of this group, Greg. He's in 14th, but he should be able to go through these guys. He's got plenty of laps to go, 6 to go. Runs a 42.4 that last time by, his quickest lap of the race. Bobby Fong's, that is. So and this will also help tomorrow with some of the gridding.
Yeah, it certainly will, because if you're new to HONOS Superbike here in MotoAmerica, the finishing order for today's race will set the grid for tomorrow, with a couple other complications. But Jay, we've also learned that there are quite a few people that are going to be assessed 5-second penalties for cutting the track, including Michael Gilbert that you saw. But currently it's Jake Gagne who's out front. But so Bobby Fong has been about a second, 1.2 faster than this group in front of him. He does have the advantage of horsepower on a Superbike compared to a Stock 1000 machine. So Bobby Fong doesn't necessarily have to make aggressive passes on the brakes. If he finds a good spot on the track, he can do it both ways. He can do it on the throttle and he can do it on the brakes. As Fong, M4 X-Star Suzuki number 50, has now latched onto the back of this Superbike Cup group.
Yeah, he's definitely, you know, obviously he's on a Superbike, so he can take his time and get through these guys. Probably the hardest one will be that BMW. Travis Wyman always seems to show a lot of speed on that motorcycle, but Bobby Fong is going to just duck out to the left there, try to do not even close. Couldn't quite get by Wyman as they went down into turn number 1. So expect something to happen up out of this straightaway as they come up over the top of that little rise. Let's get a little bit further back. Matthew Scultz still running a solid 3rd place. Looking on our timing here, he's still 3.4 back behind Tony Elias. So again, really nice job from the 24 Tony Elias. But Matthew Scultz last time through 43.1.
Yeah,
Tony Elias is still 42s, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not. Matthew Scultz isn't throwing the kitchen sink at it right now to make up that 3.4 seconds. It's about 4.5 laps to go in race number 1 in HONOS Superbike here with MotoAmerica. And Scultz, an interesting start to the race. It's going to be an interesting chat with him after the race to find out how it went at the beginning. Now, for Matthew Scultz, we talked about it before. Taking a look at our Suzuki Inside the Numbers, we talked about the way he's been able to get himself into second in this championship. First 4 races, 81 points. Then there was that middle run of 5, but it's the last 3 races where he's been able to accumulate 52 points and possibly another 16 in this one, Jay. And you can see the podiums, 4 in the first run and 3. So let's get right down to Hannah.
Yeah, guys, and talking to Scultz earlier today, he said the plan for the race was really focused on tire conservation, and it would ultimately come down to the last 5 laps. I know he was hoping for a battle, but just about managing the best for the end of this race. And he's been feeling strong all weekend in the 1st and 3rd sectors, struggling a little bit in the 2nd sector. So hopefully he's learned enough throughout the course of this race to make necessary changes and hopefully prepare for a battle tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. When we're watching this bike right now, Hannah, on screen, and when you look at Matthew, you can see there's just quite a bit of pumping and maybe a little bit of loss of grip there. You can see the bike moving around an awful lot. I haven't seen the 2 bikes up in front of him in just a little while, but there's just going to be a lot of movement, and obviously team principal Chuck Cicchetto will get with the guys and all the crew and have a look at this video later, and they'll try to figure out a way to make this bike a little bit more manageable the last half of the race for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, and also it's going to be a little different tomorrow as we expect more rubber to be laid down on the racetrack and perhaps more grip. So this is kind of a moving target here at Pitt Race this weekend for all the classes, but we're now in the conditions that everyone hoped we had. Boy, he left a long black mark. Yeah, a lot of Dunlop rubber there.
When a bike is snapping underneath you like that, you're trying so hard to manage it, and your throttle hand is, even with traction control, you're trying to manage it the best you can to put that tire into the ground the right way, and it's just moving around quite a bit. Now, let's look at Jake Gagne's style here. Obviously, Greg, he has built himself up a 7.8 second lead, gets it up off the edge of the tire, and you can see that bike still really driving Canyon. Now, this will be another key area as they come up out of turn 5 and 6 here. As he comes out of here, let's see how much this bike moves around. It's just solid, isn't it, Greg? I mean, it doesn't even move.
And with the dominance that Jake Gagne's had this season, I asked him after qualifying if he makes the same race decisions, if he pushes as hard as he did at the early stages of this championship season, and he said, listen, my job's to come here and race. It doesn't matter if it's the first race of the year or the last race of the year. I have to do everything I can to make sure that we bring this bike home at the top of the podium. You see him still pushing, even with almost an 8-second gap to his teammate Tony Elias in second place. So Jake Gagne is certainly not giving up anything despite all of the wins he has this year.
And Jamie brings up a good point, Jason. Is there a danger if you start to roll off the throttle and give you a moment to think about stuff, or from your perspective, having won championships and led plenty of races in your time as a racer, is it better to just stay focused and just keep after it?
I think that it's great to just be able to stay after it if you feel as comfortable as he does on the motorcycle. But I think if Jake decides, you know, hey, I got an 8-second lead, I can knock it off half a second a lap. It's not going to affect him too much. The thing that I find really impressive about this, and talking to Richard Stamboli even, is that really nothing else exists for Jake Gagne other than his motorcycle and the track. He doesn't think about the competition. He doesn't think about the championship. He's not thinking about any of that stuff. He's just getting here on a race weekend, taking it one step at a time and not changing his program. But really, this guy's got to be the impressive guy of the weekend so far. He had never ridden an R1 motorcycle till he borrows a friend's bike, like you heard Jamie talking about earlier, and going to a go-kart track. He comes here, hooks up with Richard Stamboli, and look what he's doing right now, Greg. 9.8 back, yes, but he's still staying very consistent with his times, and he's going to learn from this. He's going to learn from this going into tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely, and that's Tony Elias' style. The debrief is going to be a huge part of what happens today, even after Tony, if he's able to get this thing all the way to a podium. Fresh and lean, Attack Performance Yamaha. If you're just joining us, Tony Elias filling in for Josh Herron, who is still suffering some effects of a COVID-19 positive from a couple weeks ago. Herron trying everything he can to get back to MotoAmerica HONOS Superbike racing, trying to get his fitness up, and has just been struggling a little bit with getting that fitness back. We wish Josh Herron a speedy recovery, but that left the door open for Tony Elias. Of course, we saw last time at Brainerd, it was down to JD Beach, who is racing this weekend in his normal American Flat Track series. So Tony Elias gets the call, and in talking to Tony Elias this weekend, I asked him, so Tony, you said when you came to fill in for Kyle Wyman that you didn't have fitness. Have you been working out since? And he said, oh yeah, I got the bug. As soon as I went down the hill after the race weekend was over, he looked at his wife Christy and said, I am getting back at it 100%. And Tony's been working out like a fiend just in case an opportunity like this presented itself.
And I mean, what an opportunity. As you see the white flag come out, what an opportunity to get to be with this Attack team. I mean, when you see what Gagne's done on this bike, I think it's a dream of every rider to think, God, it would be fun to swing a leg over that bike, and he's getting the opportunity to do it this weekend, and he's definitely making the most out of it.
So Jake Gagne on the final lap of this race comes across the line, 10.7 seconds he has in his back pocket to navigate the 19, I guess you'd say probably 21 turns if you included the chicane here at Pitt Race. Still working it the same way, Jay, getting on the gas, getting up on the meat of the tire.
42.1 that last time by, so put that in perspective. The fastest lap of the race, 40.7 from Jake Gagne, so he was only 1.4 seconds off his fastest, and he doesn't have any reason to to continue to push. He's got a 10-second lead, but this is just his comfort zone. This is where he's at. I saw him also while I was talking to Stamboli before the race, and he's just as mellow and calm as ever, and he's just having a good time. Always got a smile on his face, and ready to go every weekend.
Yeah, and enjoying the fans too.
Yeah.
Really always underneath the canopy and available to talk to fans, and always with a smile on his face, enjoying that interaction. What we're witnessing here is something completely amazing. We're looking at a rider who has won with his motorcycle and his crew. A change in crew chief to John Cornwell has really shown how great two people can make a program. As waves to the fan, Jake Gagne comes through the final corner, heads towards the checkered flag, and will log victory number 12 of the season and his 12th in a row as he extends the MotoAmerica HONOS Superbike race win record. And Tony Elias will come across the stripe in second place in his debut ride on the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha. Scultz in third will fill out the podium. Cam Peterson in the books on his M4 X-Star Suzuki. We await the arrival of Hector Barbera, number 80. And Jake Lewis working his way to 8th place and number 1 in the Superbike Cup. The stock 1000 spec machines. Barbera has taken the checkered flag. He's in the books. Kyle Wyman comes across the stripe. You can see where Jake Lewis is going through the chicane. Going through 17 and 18 on his way to the final turn 19. So a great job by the Altus Motorsports Suzuki rider. And another victory, and will extend his lead in the Superbike Cup 2021 season championship.
Those guys weren't far behind him at the end. They started catching him. Hayden Gillum, Michael Gilbert, Corey Alexander, all those guys, they started, Wyatt Ferris started to catch up, but
really, Travis Wyman had a bit of a problem, goes 14th, comes across the stripe. But it's all about this guy. And Jay, this is exactly what Scultz was talking about. When you look at that progression, it's the pressure he puts on the rest of the field in those first 5 or 6 laps that really set the pace. So we'll step away from Pitt Race. We'll take a break. When we return, we're going to talk to Jake Gagne about that race, and we'll get to talk to Elias and Matthew Scultz as well. So stay with us.
Well, Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you once again in between as you see Jake Gagne patting that Yamaha up there on the tank and doing something that has never been done before in MotoAmerica, winning 12 races in a row in the HONOS Superbike class. And it's not the only big story for that Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha. You also have Tony Elias finishing second behind him, albeit by 11 seconds. You know, he kind of probably backed off there towards the end. Still got to save that body, Roger, for tomorrow. But he does something also that is pretty incredible. Tony Elias last year, riding for a factory Suzuki team, the M4 team, it took him 18 races to finish second place. He does it in what, 2 this year? 3? His third one?
I mean, what he did today is just, it's absolutely incredible to come in here, jump on a bike that you've never rode a Yamaha before besides that go-kart track, which does not count.
It's tiny.
Come in here and get second, and really pretty easily second. Didn't really have much pressure behind him. He's only had 1 day on that bike and then a little session this morning. Coming here at a really physical, really difficult track. Coming here and gets, I mean, I'm blown away by just how he can come in here and do that and beat these guys who's been on their bikes, some of them for a couple years, and, you know, some, you know, the whole season. It's just an amazing job by Tony, and I think if somebody's looking for somebody to do something next year, he should be on the radar.
I mean, this has to be one of those feel-good moments if you were wanting to prove to yourself. Because, I mean, think about it. Loris Baz crashes out of this race. We questioned last year if Ducati was going to be in the field, who was going to be that rider. You know? Tony Elias is saying he's trying to show right there, I wanted to be that rider. I could have been that rider. You made the choice, but I'm showing you what I could do, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and he's definitely showed it to come in here. And in the beginning of the race, he was right there, but he started making a few mistakes, and then he was smart. You know, don't go throw it down the road trying to hang out with Jake, a guy who's on this heck of a run, who's, you know, at his peak right now. you know, backed it off a little bit, didn't make any mistakes, got second, and you know, came in here and proved what he needed to prove.
I thought I saw early on, as you see Jake and Richard there and Tony. And again, I feel bad for Loris Baz having to throw it away there. He was super aggressive all the start. He and Matthew Scultz, I didn't think they were going to make it a lap. I thought they were going to take each other out.
No, they were definitely really aggressive there early in the race. Luckily, neither one of them went down. It almost looked like one of the wings might have came off Baz's bikes. I'm not certain on that, but those two have put some good passes on each other. And I think tomorrow, if Baz leaves a little bit of a door open, I think Scultz might owe him one.
I think between the two of them, they were going like they were saying they're number one without showing them a finger. Because I think each time they were like, "Oh, you want to stuff me? All right, I'm going to stuff you." And that's what they're talking about right now. I can promise you. But good run by Scultz, getting on the podium. Peterson and Hector Barber, another strong run for a guy, you know, that is maybe not on the newest equipment. The thing doesn't handle as good as these Yamahas. I don't think there's much doubt in that. But, man, Hector Barber with the run. Look at Tony. Look how happy he is.
Great ride at top 5. And even with that mistake, you know, half the race, you know, Matt was a couple seconds behind Tony, and Tony did a good job hanging on. Hector Barbera did a great job in 5th. And what about Hayden Gillum?
I mean, we were talking about Stock 1000. Look, I'm looking forward to that tomorrow.
Didn't get on the bike till this morning.
Unbelievable what he is doing. Jake Gagne, 12 in a row. It has never been done until today.
Please, I don't need the company. Leave the rest to me. I'm the leader of the pack. And there ain't no turning back. And they got me saying, I'm the leader of the pack. Put the rubber on my back. And they got me saying,
Welcome back to Pittsburgh International Race Complex. Jake Gagne making his way into winner's circle after another dominating victory, 11.3 seconds over his weekend teammate, Tony Elias. Let's take a look at those final results, Jason. Confirmation of what we saw. Gagne, Elias, and Matthew Scultz with Cam Peterson over Hector Barbera, Kyle Wyman, Bradley Ward, Bobby Fong, and Jake Lewis. Let's get right down to Hannah with our winner.
12 in a row and a nearly perfect season for Jake Gagne. He's down here celebrating with all of our wonderful super fans that always visit us in Pennsylvania each year. Jake, a bit of a lonely race out there for you, despite winning. Who doesn't love winning? But are you enjoying yourself?
Oh, I'm having fun, man. I'm having a lot of fun riding this fresh lean attack Yamaha R1. Hats off again to the team because they're working their butts off, and no matter what happens, we always want to get faster, we want to get better, and yeah, got off to a great start. That's what I wanted to see, and I was keeping an eye on my pit board, and I felt like there was a little drama behind me because I could kind of see a couple laps from my pit. My gap grew there a little bit, but again, hats off to this team. This Yamaha is a pleasure to ride, and I love this track, Pittsburgh. We got a great turnout here. The fans are on it, and again, thanks to everybody at Rye Helmets, Alpine Stars, Fresh and Lean, Yamaha, and all the boys. We'll be back tomorrow and try to do it again.
Thanks, Jake. Let's get over to Jamie.
Hannah, Tony Elias said at the end of last season he was not finished riding, proving today that he's not going to waste an opportunity like this one, coming home with a second place finish. Tony, for you, what was the biggest takeaway from the first race this weekend?
Well, I'm super happy to be here, surprised. That was the objective, but it's difficult to make it happen also. Now it's here. This is a confirmation like last year, 2020. Many people put question mark on me, doubt on me as a racer. So, and that was not good, no. So I had insight. Thanks, Kyle Wyman, to give me the opportunity to come back. That motivates me, and I start training, and then I receive a phone call. Thanks, Yamaha. Thanks, Attack Yamaha, for this opportunity. These 2 days I enjoyed a lot. I will continue enjoying tomorrow. I hope to come back here, but until today this is paid off, so I'm very happy, and thanks everyone. Thanks my family, sponsors. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Tony Elias getting rid of that question mark, Hannah.
Third place today goes to Matthew Scultz, your 9th podium this season, 4th in a row. I know you were really hoping for a battle at the front. I know you're hoping for a battle at the front with Jake Gagne. These fans are allowed out here, guys. But tell us about your battle for third with Cameron Peterson, your old buddy.
I got a pretty decent start, and then Yeah, I kind of got bumped by Baz a little bit. I'm not going to comment too much on that. But yeah, I mean, I was behind Cameron. He was setting a pretty decent pace in the first couple laps. Then I managed to get past him, and I was really hoping to catch up to Tony. But I'd had a couple of moments on the front end, so I just kind of had to settle for it there. You know, congratulations to these guys here. You know, it just shows how well they have things working. And Tony just hops on, he finishes second. So that gives me and the Westby boys some work to do tonight. But you know, I feel like we're always getting better, and now we just have to try to clean up those areas that we're losing a couple of tenths, and hopefully tag on to these boys tomorrow.
Congratulations to Matthew Scultz and a Yamaha podium sweep, guys.
Well, I think the best thing to do is give it a breather about what happened between him and Baz. But we'll have more from Pitt Race when we come back on FS1.
Well, you see how happy they all are down there on the victory podium. The Yamaha sweep, as we'd mentioned, and still smiling for Jake. Hey, Raj, I want to point out in the early part of that race when Jake was out in front and Tony was really hanging in tight, I thought I saw that bike, the Yamaha of Gagne, kind of moving around a little bit more than I saw Tony Elias's bike.
Well, I think Jake doesn't mind his bike moving a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we seen last year the bike was sliding a little bit, and I think for Jake that he's comfortable with that. Tony runs a lot of TC and more like a two-stroke whenever we were teammates. So he doesn't slide a ton because he takes a lot of power away, but he gets wide open throttle really soon. So I think that has a little bit to do with it is the electronics, but I also think that Jake's really comfortable with the bike sliding, and like I said, Tony runs a lot of traction control, and when he gets on the throttle, a lot, you know, not much really happens, but that's the way he likes to ride it.
How does that affect you? I mean, moving on though, when you have that though, because Jake might have a little more in the tank if he wanted to grab that throttle, where Tony's going full gas, yet it's kind of limited.
It's just different, right? I mean, for one, in the beginning, Tony's gonna have a little bit less, but he might be able to carry more speed up it. You know, like right in the middle of it, you know, Tony might be driving up more, even though Jake's got more power because he's sliding. It's just totally two different setups. And for guys who don't mind the bike sliding, like Jake coming from dirt bikes and stuff, he doesn't mind the bike moving under him some. And it's just every rider's different. And like Richard Stamboli said today, Tony's got a different style than anybody he's ever really worked for.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of see that. And there's not a right or wrong, right? It's just it's whatever makes you best on when the race comes. And obviously, Tony's doing it right to come in here and do what he did. And also, we didn't really get to talk about it last time, but Hayden Gillum, top 10 Superbike race, hasn't road raced in a couple years. Besides the
king of the baggers, man. What
didn't even sit on the bike till this morning and coming.
And why was that? You told me. He had to work.
I think he was at work.
The man's got a day job.
For whatever reason, he wasn't here yesterday. He sits on the bike this morning, 30 minutes of practice, gets second in Superbike Cup.
Dude, I'm one of Hayden Gillum's biggest fans just from watching the races a couple years ago. Here being one of them. And I thought about that when it come time to stock 1,000. I was like, Ben Spees was called elbows, but really I think it's going to be Hayden Gillum that's the guy that can muscle his way into there.
I think he'll have elbows out tomorrow.
I do too.
Especially after today's race.
He saw what he can do, right?
There's a podium on the horizon for him if he wants it. He's got the pace.
I agree. And I was looking forward to that, and I didn't think I'd see it till tomorrow, but I already saw it a day early.
Well, I didn't think I would see it either. A guy setting out for so long, set out the whole first day. I mean, that's just crazy.
Tony Elias going to go to the press conference talking with Paul Carruthers there with MotoAmerica and the whole crew. They'll make their way in, do a little debrief and a download, maybe hit them some questions. And you can watch everything on MotoAmerica.com and look back. Thanks for watching on MotoAmerica Live. Plus, we're sending back over to Jason Gregg next door. We still got more. And we still have more races. Don't go anywhere. We also have our party in the pits at 5 p.m.
Today's Superbike race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by HONOS, the apparel brand promoting talent within the adrenaline sports realm.
1960 World Series Game 7, bottom of the ninth to beat the Yankees 10-9. Bill Mazeroski, just outside PNC Park, home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about this Geico save?
Oh.
Jason Pridmore, come on!
Well, Travis Wyman, that is amazing. We said he was up in that group, and that's why he fell back. What a save. Look at both wheels off the ground. Now, 2 years ago, just talking to Travis yesterday, he actually crashed here, Greg, 2 years ago. He did a wheelie coming up over the hill. The bike came down a little sideways. He slid all the way down that straightaway. Today, he did a much better job. And Travis, I'm happy to see you save that bike.
Get him a cowboy hat. That bucking Bronco, he tamed it. We'll be back with more from Pitt Race in a moment.
Holy cow. For you fans on the hill, wait till you go and watch MotoAmerica Live Plus and what you just witnessed with Travis Wyman. I did not see that during the race. That was we're going to have to play it. Roger, you went to go check out the press conference back behind us. Can our crew Can we roll that back?
I seen it.
Did you see it in there?
Did you ever see Anthony West's save here a couple years ago at the same spot?
Same deal, huh?
Pretty impressive.
You know, the thing with that, I mean, those are, you just saw tank slappers. That was beyond tank slapper. I mean, the ankles, the feet, and everything else slapping the bike, hitting the ground. That, man, that might. Did that take our save of the year? Did that beat Atlanta? That's it. That's
got to be it.
I mean, how fast he going there? 100 and what? You know?
I don't know, but he had to be scared to death. He had to come in and change his pants after that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a definite short change, and you see, it looks. Oh, we got the hooligans, and everybody out there having a good time at our fan zone. I hope we can see that. I want to watch that again because, I mean, who knows how many Hail Marys he said before that was over with. A lot of things to do here for the fans. All right, we do have that video, and if you're near a video board and you can watch it, or if you're in the podium, watch it. Oh my gosh, he had both wheels off the ground. He still hadn't saved it. Look at the leg. Watch this one. Bang. When you slap off the swing arm like that, I mean, those break ankles too.
Save of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be tough to beat that.
Yeah.
He's got one hand on the trophy right now.
I mean, whew. I mean, that's not the high-speed wobbles we often see. What they call that wheelie hill, don't they? I mean, when they come over that hill, we'll see it with the front end, but when you leave both tires and you're crooked like that, I mean, it just doesn't get any worse.
And the best part is you can see him looking over right away to get back into the race.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you put it right behind him, he looks right over to see, back full throttle to get back in the race. But what a save.
That's one of those cases of Roger, he crashed. He crashed right there. He just didn't hit the ground. I mean, he crashed. Hey, good to have the fans out here in person. We're getting ready for the MotoAmerica Superbikes in Pittsburgh. The SportBikeTrackGear.com Juniors coming up next. We also have the Twins Cup for their final race of the day. It'll be an 11-lap race. We're going to still have two more good ones to go here, and our party in the pits at 5. How did Michael refer that? He said, I'm going to have 35 racers out there, and me, on the party in the pits.
Get some karaoke going, giveaway prizes. Meet a lot of the riders. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, everybody loves free swag. He was trying to talk you into singing. What are the chances now?
Slim to none for today.
So you're saying there's a chance. Yep. So you're saying there's a chance. Josh Hayes for president. He's been around here. Josh, I didn't ever text him today. We didn't have the time. Tomorrow, if you can hear me, Josh, we are going to use you. We didn't even have a break today, but we will have our coffee time with Josh. Mañana. Good food to be had here as well. I heard the barbecue was going off. What was that? The whatever something ferry. I saw they had two trucks rolling in this morning, like an ice ferry or something like that.
I missed it.
They might have a lemon shake-up on board.
Oh, I seen it.
Did they really have one?
It, yeah.
Dude, what is it? You're like a magnet. You love those things. Again.
So who you got? Junior Cup.
We didn't even see Tyler Scott go out in the second qualifier. Not at all. I say Ben Glady. He's been fast here before, and I think he's confident, and he wants to win.
He's been fast, but I got a feeling Tyler Scott will be there as well. And look at all the other guys. The lap times are close.
Yeah, really, really close. 55.4 the best for Ben Glady. But, hey, we've still got more racing ahead. Stick with us.
We're back at Pittsburgh International Race Complex as 27-year-old Jake Gagne takes his spot at the top of the podium for the 12th time in a row in 13 races. Championship standings, Gagne continues to pull away, but keep in mind, last 2 races of the year, we have 3 races a weekend to get a total of 20, so we're going to keep an eye on those points and let you know when Jake Gagne is going to be able to wrap up this championship. So, Jay, what do you think? I mean, what do these riders have to do to reel in the 32?
Well, They got to get good starts. I think Tony's going to learn something overnight. Matthew obviously wants to get up there, and we got to see if Flores can get back going tomorrow. He lost a lot of laps today, so he doesn't have a lot of stuff to go into tomorrow with. They're going to probably have to go in with that same setup, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
And keep an eye on the 50 Bobby Fong, as he got a whole host of information as well. And last time at Brainerd, Bobby Fong showed up Sunday and put on quite a show. A lot of great stuff going on here at Pitt Race this weekend. We'll get another chance to do it again tomorrow. If you're in the area, get on out. The weather's supposed to be perfect. If not, join us right here on FS1 at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. For Hannah Lopa, Jamie Howe, and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us. What a save, Travis Wyman.